late than never, right? I don't know what it is. Every time I order a shower curtain or soap or, I don't know, I'm going for bathroom things as examples, from Amazon, I get it like, I don't know, 9 a.m. As soon as I wake up, boom, right at my front door. For the OLED Nintendo Switch, 5 p.m. So, here we go. For the first time ever on YouTube, we're going to be unboxing the brand new OLED Switch. I guarantee you have not seen an OLED Switch unboxing before, because today is the day that it came out, and no one had it before today. No one. Look, everyone, it's the return of camera too. You didn't think it was just for Pokemon cards, did you? No. Alright, first, the box is very different. It's a completely different shape. Then again, you know, it's a completely different model. Compared to the regular Nintendo Switch box, it's nowhere near as long, a little bit thicker, same depth. There's also the red Nintendo Switch box. That it's pretty much the same as the original box. It was just deeper because it had the carrying case in it. Still, not as thick. If you are unfamiliar with the difference between the OLED Nintendo Switch and the actual Nintendo Switch, oh, I shouldn't have done this upside down. That's essentially what we're going over today. We open it up and we're presented with Nintendo Switch and Joy-Cons. You have an option between red and blue or white and white. These guys, I mean, they were sitting in a truck, so they feel pretty warm. They feel pretty basic. They actually don't really feel any different at all. Ooh, the LNRs, I don't know if it's just because they're brand new, but they feel very clicky. Very clicky. I like that. Here are my custom Joy-Cons that I had these painted from. Honestly, I don't even remember the website. And here are the official Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. Other than the amount of dust on the joystick right now, pretty much exactly the same. My people did a great job painting these. I could tell that these are unofficial because they were actually of the neon pink, neon green Splatoon ones. But yeah, if you had painted Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, they're gonna be pretty dang similar. The actual unit we're gonna take a look at in a second. Inside of here, we have a power brick, an HDMI cable, a Joy-Con grip, exactly the same as before. It feels like the same material, the Joy-Con rails, and the OLED Switch with the white Joy-Cons comes with a white Nintendo Switch dock. And ooh, that's a very matte white dock with a sort of etched in logo. I like that a lot. The bottom has a huge grippy down here, so it's not going to be sliding everywhere. If we look to the rear, the long rail across the top no longer has the cutout in there. Instead, it's still kind of there, but not really. It's just very far back. And instead of this weird Tetris piece, we now have this semicircle piece. And in addition, instead of this being a folding flap like this, by the way, if you're unfamiliar, this is the Mario Red Blue Switch dock. It is now a removable piece. Probably gonna lose. Unlike the original dock that has the power, USB, and HDMI, we have power, HDMI, and LAN. The grills on the inside of this piece right here seem to be much smaller on the new model. It's pretty hard to see inside of there. Like, I'm gonna have to shine a flashlight because it's black on black. But yeah, 3 small cutouts as opposed to over here how it was 6 long cutouts. But I'm sure they would not do a mid-cycle refresh with not enough ventilation. It looks like we have a vent up here and down here instead of just the one slit in the middle, which is nice. And as the old Switches were just sort of like painted on material, or I don't know exactly how it's on there, but that's just something added to the top. As I mentioned before, we now have it as an actual indent, like it's engraved in there. In addition, the large grip at the bottom replaces 4 small foot pads. Right here I have a selection of Nintendo Switches, including the original V1 Switch that has a very large problem with the kickstand that was not changed with any of the other regular Switches, this being the Animal Crossing one. These are my notes of which version of Sword and Shield playthrough I had. This is the Mario Red version. Here is the Switch Lite Zamazenta Zacian edition, and here is the V2 Switch. I'm now going to be removing the Animal Crossing Switch. I just included that because I figured a lot of you guys had an Animal Crossing Switch. We're going to put the Switch Lite to the side, And I'm mostly going to be comparing the first Switch model, the most recent limited edition revision, and the newest version. The first question I was going to say, is it worth it? I hate the question, is it worth it? Worth is something that you measure on your own personal scale, but I will say this, if you still own a V1 Switch, there are very large advantages to the upgrading to the OLED, primarily handheld, or primarily docked, or a mixed user. Significant advantages going from the V1 to the OLED. If you have a V2 Switch, that's the one with the better chip and the significantly better battery life, and you're a handheld user, then the only advantage is that you're going to have a much better screen and a better viewing experience. Also, we're going to talk about the kickstand. If you use the tabletop mode at all on any of your Switch, get the OLED Switch. If you're primarily a dock user, like me, I very rarely use my Switch in handheld mode. And I have a V2 Switch. There's not too much of an advantage to go from the V2 to the OLED Switch. All right, let's just throw that out there, in my opinion. We're now going to be removing the V1 Switch and just kind of looking at the V2 Switch, this is the Mario Edition, and the OLED Switch. Instead of the kickstand that is removable, and by removable I mean, I guess it's sturdy, oh there we go. Pulled it out, there we go. Instead of it being a removable kickstand that was designed to be that way when you dock it in, if the kickstand is out, it's not going to break, it's just going to pop off and you can pop it back in. Instead, the new kickstand is the entire length and it has a lot of mobility. A lot of, oh, that close clasp right at the very end there. I'm at like 10% open and then, yeah, that is satisfying. On the inside is now where the serial number is going to be located, and this thing is not removing. It's not removing at all. This is still brand new, so it's still very tight in here. Very tight hinge, and that's designed so that you could play it at the same angle as the previous Switch, which is a mostly upright angle. If it's far away from you, yeah, on like an airplane, it's impossible. But now, you can go down. Oh, it's my face. Hi. I'm seeing the camera now, so you're seeing my face now, right? Cool. This is very low. Look at that angle. Wish I had a protractor right now, but if that's 90 and that's 180, it's right in the middle. What is that? 135 degrees? But like, this could be right under me and I could get really bad neck pains just playing at that angle. So you could go anywhere in between and it does not feel like it's going anywhere. In fact, I could kind of give it a little tappy tap and it's not really like falling back. And I think that's the biggest advantage, especially for the tabletop users. If you're a Southern rapper from 2006, you're going to be very interested in the grills. The previous Switch had this sort of curvy curve over here with the grills inside. This now has just individual cutouts. We still have the headphone jack, but it looks like it's sort of more part of the body and less separated. This one random we have a random thing. I don't know what that is yet. The power button and volume rockers are now significantly smaller, shorter, and more recessed. So that way in handheld mode, it's gonna be less of a nuisance and more like you have to intentionally press the things. I really like that. Game card slot appears to be a rectangle now instead of a curved rectangle. Actually feels pretty much exactly the same between the new one and the old one, although that's a satisfying click down. You know that's in place. Here's a weird metric no one has talked about. It's ever so slightly longer. Ever so slightly longer. Yeah. Look at that. That's how much hangs over. That means that if you have a thing like a Switch grip, it's not gonna work anymore, right? Hang on. Shout out to Satisfy for, listen, every time that they have a new color or new model, they just send it to me. So shout out to them. I love my Switch Grip Pro. Fun fact, me and a team of girls helped create and mold the smaller handled one. My Mario Red Switch fits in the Switch Grip. Nice and snug, as it should. Oh. The reels didn't look different or anything, but that's a much more firm snap down. It also feels thinner, just generally more refined. Like it's a nice refresh. Plus, I haven't turned the screen on yet, but look at that bezel difference. That's huge. And now knowing that this is thicker, yeah, no, I don't want to push this down further. I could probably get it to fit but I might damage my Joy-Cons. So if you have any accessories that go from your Switch's left side to right side, you are not going to be able to use those accessories with an OLED Switch because it is ever so slightly longer. That's actually kind of an important thing. Great. Boom, you learned something. We've talked about the dock, we've talked about the kickstand, we've talked about the Joy-Cons, we've talked about the actual unit itself. I think for the first time, we're now gonna power it up. That's a beautiful contrast. So I recently just bought my first OLED TV ever. And if you're not familiar, it's a general... That's nice. It's a general concept that wherever there's black and real black, it's going to be portrayed without any light at all. Instead, it's just going to be blackness. And therefore, you don't really know where the screen ends and begins. New England clam router. Yes, that's my Wi-Fi. So much more screen. I didn't think it was going to be that much more screen. Alright, if we're talking about max brightness here, I just switched it to white theme. I know, I'm a monster. I'm just kidding, I use it in dark theme, I'm not a monster. They do get very bright, but immediately there's a different feel of this screen, which I wasn't expecting so much. And I think Bob mentioned this. This Switch screen, compared to this is much colder feeling. I guess I'm gonna have to bring this ISO down so you can kind of see, but that's really not a good example of... It's not only a better screen, it's also a different technology that's used for this screen. The color of the screen is different. And I'm not even looking at icons yet, I'm just looking at the whites themselves, between right here and right here. And yeah, it's not picking up on camera at all, so you're just gonna have to take my word to that. It's like a blue-greenish tint compared to what appears to be a much warmer tint. And I don't know if that makes sense. If you understand colors of lights, think about it that way, that this is a colder screen, this is a warmer screen. Maybe once my icons and stuff are on here, I'm actually going to see a difference. I just put in a copy of Pokemon Shield before even, restoring my save data and stuff. This is a huge difference. I didn't think it was gonna be a huge difference. It's a huge difference. This screen is gorgeous, especially compared to that. Like, now we're getting toward like the level of brightness and clarity that would be on like higher end smartphones. Actually, it kind of definitely reminds me of like a Samsung display. Isn't this by Samsung? I don't even know. It feels like I'm looking at a screen of a Galaxy Edge, if that makes any sense. It's also worth talking about the fact that this screen is still 720p and is not a 1080p screen. Just like this. This is a 720p screen, this is a 720p screen. That means that both of these models are projecting the same resolution of image, and because this screen is physically larger, your pixel density is not as compressed. Therefore, if I were to take 1 square inch of here and 1 square inch of here, the original model will have more pixels in that inch than this model. In theory, this is a sharper image. And you know what? I did see that firsthand when comparing the Switch Lite, which has the smallest screen of them, that things definitely are sharper on the Switch Lite compared to the Switch. So now that we're at the Switch XL, now that we're at the OLED Switch, things are going to be a little less sharp. And I really don't want to compare anything this second just because I'm in 2 different parts of the game. This is still like the opening cutscene. Now that I'm in the game officially, and I'm staring at these two, the screen doesn't feel any colder really. In fact, it just kind of looks, well, 1, definitely brighter, but 2, everything is richer in color. It's like if you were to take the original and saturate it more. And while this does appear more blue for me, it's not showing up on camera so much, but if you compare this back wall, it almost sort of looks yellowish orange, little beige. Here it's very orange heavy. Like this rug is more blue, this rug is more red, all of the colors are richer. Like this now looks washed out compared to this. Overall, it's a really beautiful looking screen. Like I didn't have too much of a reason to keep playing on the red Switch compared to all the other limited edition ones, other than the fact that, you know, it's red and I'm a big fan of that color. But this, it looks nice, it feels nice, feels a little bit heavier. Maybe not. It would probably be something that I need to like actually measure it to tell. It has a good hand grip, like it feels sturdy. You know what I mean? And this is gonna be something that you're either gonna know about or you don't know about. That after you hold your Switch for so long, especially the V1 models, or just maybe the amount of hours with the Switch, the rails start to feel a little bit weaker. If I were to go like this and sort of twist the body, the Joy-Cons to the rails have a little bit of give to them. The bottom part still has that give, but the top is locked in a lot firmer now. So when I have my hands up here, I feel less give. I still feel the wiggle in the Joy-Con rails though. But when I'm holding it like this, it feels sturdier. If you have a V2 Switch and you don't play in handheld mode, go to Amazon and get yourself a $5 USB Ethernet adapter and boom, same experience. If you have a V1 Switch, this not only has a better screen, it has better battery life, it has a lot of differences from the original Switches, and it is worth that upgrade. From a V2, primarily as a docked user, not a big difference. Primarily as a handheld user, oh yeah. You're gonna immediately see and feel a difference. Like a big one. Well, there you go. Those are my views, thoughts, and opinions on the brand new OLED Switch and unboxing, the first unboxing here on YouTube. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. Until next time, Austin John out.